Hello, hello.
Hi.
We are now live.
Hey.
Hey, we got to do that weird, like, we'll wait for everyone to join. Like, this is,
Oh,
You'll be like,
what are
we'll wait
those?
for the whole class to join us.
Yes. And then we'll all clap together and go. No, just kidding.
yeah.
Go.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Lanie, on your
Yes.
sunny afternoon in your amazing house down there.
Thank you. I'm currently in the Bahamas right now. Actually, just kidding. I'm in Hawaii. So
I was like, I think that's the wrong way on the time chart.
I'm in Hawaii. Mhm.
She's got a couple more hours of daylight.
Yes, preserving the land and the culture, all of that stuff. Actually, people don't want you to go to Hawaii anymore, so I am never going to Hawaii.
Why?
Natives don't want you
I
to
don't-
go there.
They don't like it.
Yeah, because
They
tourists
don't like
are ruining it.
yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad I went when I did then.
So
Yeah.
glad you got to
guess.
enjoy it.
yeah.
Can't
So,
be
More
the
this
happy
is-
about it.
This is our great friend, Lanie, the one and only greatest Lanie Hobbs. I don't know any other Lanie Hobbs.
True. You know,
Yeah.
Lanie Boggs from She's All That.
I do know a Lanie
Oh
Boggs.
my gosh,
Yes,
yes.
which
That's
keeping
close.
on theme, other people used to think that I stole that name too. That I created that name when I was in. I came up with the name Lanie when I was in 5th grade, transitioning to middle school because I was like, I hate my real name. I'm gonna be known as Lanie. And then everybody was like, you picked it as Lanie Boggs. I was like, I've never seen that movie, so I don't know what you're talking about. And now I refuse to watch it out of principle. So cheers to
Oh, I was like,
another thing I stole.
did you wear a lot of overalls and smear paint on your face or something?
Did not. I did not.
Faint.
Can you hear my
Okay.
baby?
I can.
Wow. Like
She's in the nursery off of the
close
deck.
the door. She's very upset. It's bedtime. She is not happy. So apologies to the
Gotcha.
chef on that one.
It happens, you
You
know.
don't even look like you have a kid that lives in that house. It's so
Nope.
pristine.
She's a piano prodigy. So, we got to keep things going here. Chris, thank you for
And
my home.
just off screen is the child's play area. She has a full like jungle gym area. That's
Rock
why there's no
climbing
toys
wall.
in the living room. Yep.
Mhm.
Yes.
All of that.
So, Lainey, tell us what you do for life.
Oh, try to live it as best as I can, authentically as I can, I would say. No, I'm just kidding. So, in the daytime, my real life, I work in human resources. And so I focus on employee relations a lot. It's my favorite thing. If you know me as a person, if you've ever met me, you know I love like reality TV. I love to watch people's like drama unfold before me. So being in employee relations is perfect for me because I always get to hear what everybody's doing and they have to tell me. Like they have to tell me their business, which is my favorite thing. So I do that daytime. It's the best job ever. I truly do enjoy it. And then my other life, like my creative life, I host several podcasts and then working on, the true crime and paranormal, as it's now been dubbed for this year, podcast festival and years to come. I'm a voice actor. I do all of the fun stuff.
You're like a TikTok phenom.
Oh, yes.
if
I
you will.
also
my
do
God, yes.
UGC. Just
Mhm.
started that. It's just so much fun. I like things that really tap into creativity and give me an opportunity to learn something new. So like video editing and things like that was something I was always intimidated with. Oh my God, I love you, Jason.
That picture. I just love it.
I love that one because he looks so much like him too. It's so crazy.
Yep.
Yes.
But yeah, like video editing, I was very like intimidated by. So UGC gave me the opportunity to really kind of face that fear and move forward. So it's now something I do and I love it. So yeah, that's
For those that don't know what UGC is, it's user-generated content.
Yeah. So you basically, any of those ads that you see when you're scrolling on Instagram Reels or on TikTok where you see people who are like, oh my gosh, have you always wanted to blah? And they hook you in with these first 3 lines. That's what UGC is. It's disingenuous, content because it truly is geared towards getting you to click on it and have these thumb stop rates is what they call them. So what makes a person stop to watch their ad? Like what makes them stop their thumb from scrolling is what they call it. It's a thumb stop. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's not to be confused with those videos where it's like you're trying to get to the end of it because there's really terrible like recipe videos.
Oh my God, I
Where
know.
you're
Those
like,
drive me
what
nuts.
are you doing?
Yeah, and they're like,
why
"I'm
do we have
baking a
10
cake."
pounds of hamburger? Yeah. Why do we have 10 pounds of hamburger meat wrapped in tortillas with that? It's like
Oh,
one can of
That was
jalapenos, one
disgusting.
can. It's like the
I know
worst thing
exactly
I've
the one
ever
you're
seen in my
talking
life.
about.
Yes.
I can't with that recipe.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, same.
None.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Okay. And then you host several podcasts.
I do.
What podcasts?
I host True Crime Cases with Lanie. It has since been rebranded from my previous show called True Crime Fan Club, which I started in 2016. And I have my paranormal podcast called It's Haunted What Now. Yes, TCPF is going to actually be, I mean, Whitney's I'm sorry, I get so distracted by comments. So I'm like,
okay. You're fine. Squirrel.
Whitney and Melissa both are the schedulers for TCPF. They're the ones who made everything happen in terms of the schedule and placements last year. So kudos and thank you very much for doing that.
If you had complaints, now you know where to go.
Yeah. The veil has been lifted. But yes, Friday, we anticipate, I think we're going to start probably sometime in the evening to do like a couple of things, but mostly geared towards the podcasters to make it for them. So we'll have the podcast mixer Friday night. We'll also do some of the content that we want to deliver strictly to podcasters and really anybody who wants to go to it. For people who are thinking about starting a show, we're going to have a conversation on ethics and integrity within the true crime podcasting world, even within the paranormal world. We're actually going to be working on kind of like a code of ethics, not for true crime as a whole, but for your show. When we go to Myrtle Beach, that'll be one of our workshops that we all kind of work together to create our own like ethics page essentially on our website that we all kind of want to go by and say like, I plan to, follow stories that do this, or I plan to research in a way that presents blah, blah, blah. So we're going to be workshopping that. That was a Charlie idea, and I think it's really great. And I know there are other people who want to create kind of a code of ethics for themselves or for the genre entirely, but it's really hard to do that when it's so broad and there's so many different types of true crime podcasts. So it really is going to be something I think that we can work out in Myrtle Beach and then figure out how to present in TCPF. So I would recommend, if you are planning on coming to TCPF, that you plan to get there on Thursday. Not only will it be more fun because you get to like hang out with me and Whitney and Melissa, but then you're kind of like really rested and ready to go Friday.
And I'm hoping we have enough people interested for a private fun event thing that I'm going to present soon.
You will. Oh my God,
to
you
our
will.
friends.
You will. We got this.
Yeah. We might have to get a bigger bus.
Yes, I love
but
that. Oh, okay. So, and then my paranormal show is called It's Haunted What Now? And it talks about like haunted objects and the people that welcome them into their lives intentionally or unintentionally. And then I had a show on Spotify. It's still current, like playing and everything like that, but it's no longer producing new episodes. It's called Crimes of Passion. And I think that's it.
You're like, run through the
I know.
list. Yeah, that's all.
I have another one coming out, but it's pending. Yeah, it's
TBD.
pending. Yes, I can't talk about it yet. I have two, but I can't talk about them.
Ooh. I don't know how you have time for all of that. That is a lot.
And
then
one. Lanie does voiceover. She did a sexy book recently.
Yes.
Yes. TikTok calls it spicy content. And,
spicy content.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity because I tell you, when I started in podcasting back in 2016, nonstop, I would get messages like, oh my gosh, your voice is so sexy, or like, da-da-da. And I'd be like so creeped out because I'm like, who are you, random person on Apple iTunes, like telling me you like my voice? That's creeping me out, Because and I think when you do true crime, you have a reasonable amount of paranoia, right? Like wanting to protect your identity, wanting to make sure like you protect your privacy in some way, because you realize that like some people can create these really dangerous parasocial relationships with you, right? Like they're the ones that have this relationship. When I think about the stalking behavior that can happen to some podcast hosts, or if people, I know somebody, I don't want to talk about them in particular or mention any names because I really don't want anybody to like try and find this person or call them out or anything like that. But we have one particular podcast host that I know that I'm really good friends with, that the spouse in this case has been targeting them like crazy, creating social media accounts. And they're a spouse who's accused of committing the crime against the person who died.
Wow.
So they're like a suspect in this case. And so it's very
Yeah.
strange that they've like positioned themselves. And then they contacted me and I was like, oh my God. I was like, please don't talk to me. I have a baby. Like, I don't want to. So it was before I like understood, like, I give kudos to the people who now enter this space with pseudonyms, right? And who
Mhm.
want to like protect their identity and things like that, either for their career wise or just like personal preference and stuff. If I could go back and do it again, I would 100% would not present myself as Lanie Hobbs. I would pick a different name. But yeah, so I had the opportunity to do that because everybody was like, oh my God, your voice is so sexy. You could put me to sleep or you could turn me on. And I was like, I'd rather put you to sleep. Like,
Yes.
please go to bed. But they asked for like partner interaction so that the chemistry and the conversation was natural. And so I was like, oh, absolutely, I'll do it. I didn't talk to Brett about this or anything like that. I just sign him up. I'm like, we're doing it, you know? So it was the most hilarious experience of my life because I was like coaching him on how to be like more sultry, which is not at all who he is. Like, he's not like, I want to rip your pants off. You know? So weird. And I was like, okay,
he's got more of like a gamer cadence. Like,
yes,
I'm gonna rip your pants off.
Yeah. And he's like truly a nerd. So like he really is like, you know, like, well, if you take MC square, you know, and C3.4, like he, you know, that's what makes him endearing to me, and he's funny and stuff, but he's not at all the type of person who's like, girl, I can't wait to rip those pants off. And then they were using like, so like it was for an app, right? So you're like, the app is basically like, I don't even remember the name of it, but basically the app is, you're a couple, right? Like you and your partner. So like me and Brett are going to download this app and role play with each other. So we're going to read the parts out loud, and you'll hear me basically giving you prompts of how to sound when you're doing it. And so there's like one that's like does the Yakuza in Japan and stuff, and is like, maybe have some cherry blossoms on the bed and throw them around each other and stuff. And I'm like, who the frick is doing this? Like, who is sitting here being like, oh yeah. And I was like, all I imagine is like middle-aged sugar daddies who are like, this is what my girl will like. Like, this is what will work for me. Here's 10 grand. Let's role play. No, that's like exactly what I imagine. So I was like, oh my God, it was the most hilarious experience of my life. And it literally only took 10 minutes, and it was the best paycheck I ever got. It was so funny. And I was like, this was well earned. This was such a good time.
But it's a cute activity you guys got to do together.
Yeah.
And
he was like,
I love it.
I will never. Will your husband do that with you? Either one of your husbands?
No.
Jeff better.
Jeff barely talks. Like,
I know,
he's gonna record it.
But you know, he's probably like super like, hey girl.
I don't know. If I get him drunk enough, he might be like, let's try this out. See, negative Batman right here. He already chimed in. He was out 20 minutes ago.
I know.
We did an ad for Manscaped, and they were like, do not talk about any of
Our
my
balls.
personal. I wasn't going to go there, but
don't talk
they're
about
like,
your
don't.
balls. Okay, would Chris do it?
I don't think so.
He's so much fun.
I know. He would if I asked him to. If I signed us up like you did, he would be like, okay, fine, but never again.
He's DTF, but just on the app.
Yes, exactly. He's just like, Yeah, and no one could know. He would
Yeah.
not want anyone.
He was
to
so
know.
I just feel
embarrassed.
like
It was so funny.
he would giggle through the whole thing. Like
would
you'd have to do
die.
47 takes to do it.
Yeah. See, Chris,
He's
he would
talking a
do
big
it.
game right now, but when it came down to it, he'd be like, I don't know about this privately.
Private.
See?
Poop on his thing? Is that poop on his page? What is that picture?
No, I think it's a beehive.
Bees.
Oh, okay. Just kidding.
Or a
I
bee
was like,
swarm.
Is it? It looks like a cow dung situation happening. Like
No,
multiple.
He used to be a beekeeper.
Oh, snap! Save the bees. Okay, I love that.
He's done literally everything.
You could, if you could
my God,
think
where
of
does it
any
stand?
random hobby, throw it out there. Chris has done it.
Chris has done it.
Does he collect baseball cards?
Jeff
He
does.
has a lot. He has them.
Dude, my friend has like
ago.
he could literally retire on so many. I've never. Okay, this is random side note. My nephew, like his dad collects baseball cards and stuff like that, and has since he was little, right? And so now my nephew like does the same thing, and there's a card store that's like right down the street from us. And I hate going into these places because I like have zero clue. I'm like, I don't know. Like, just give me something. Here's some money. Give me whatever this pays for. And so I went in and I was like, yeah, I think, just give me like whatever. I literally went in there. I was like, I have no idea. And then I mentioned my nephew's name. I was like, this is for Ryder. I was like, I think he comes in here with his dad. He's like, oh, okay. You're not getting any of these cards. You're going to get XYZ. So he like pulled out all these different cards because he's like, this is what he likes. And I was like, it's such a like intricate thing that you're doing when you're collecting baseball cards and stuff like that. Because I was like, oh, this one's signed. And they're like, yeah, this guy's a shit player. We don't care about that though. I was like, okay, sorry. I'm more of a Pokemon kind of guy. Got to catch them all. That's why you caught the best one. Hey.
Oh.
He can make any Pokemon out of perler beads.
Yes, perler beads. 3D
Oh,
printing.
Brett has some. Brett has some of those.
I mean,
like games of I don't know. I'd have to show you them because I don't know what they're. I don't play video games, so I have no idea. Anyways, sorry, my bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
No worries. This is what we do. We just like go off
Yeah,
on
it's
random
like there's people
tangents.
actually engaged with this. Sorry.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, wait, what is this? Richie Buck and Maya Abernathy cilantro because they love tacos so much. I want to be in that party.
I love cilantro.
I love
Wait, do you love cilantro? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Is it there's weird people out there who do not,
Yes.
and I do not appreciate.
They have that. They have that gene where it tastes like
gene.
soap.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
dude, I used to go to the grocery store with my grandma when I was little, and I would take like bunches of cilantro and just like eat them while I was in the store and be like,
Like
I love this.
Popeye.
Truly, I was like, Brett's like, you realize that's a weird thing to do, right? Look at that
So
handsome man.
But hold on, how do you like pay
never
for it
paid
at the
for
end of?
those.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah, Brett
I'm
was,
like, because how do you weigh it at that point? Because you've eaten all the leaves off of it, so it's a different price.
yes,
That's discounted cilantro.
correct. I feel like I go there and spend other things. Like you're not gonna miss the 50 cents of cilantro that I just
It's
ate.
not.
I don't do that anymore, but I have no qualms. Before I was a foreperson on a municipal court hearing, I had no qualms about like walking around drinking from a water bottle and being like, I threw it away. And I'm like, well, I forgot to pay for that. So now I feel bad about doing things like that. So, but in high
And
school, I
now
didn't
she's
care.
now she's on the right side of the law.
Yes.
Correct.
Right and narrow
You can have too much cilantro on a taco. That is not true. That is not true.
He's from Michigan, so he doesn't even like count.
Bro,
Doesn't
do you
even-
even taco?
I mean,
take
he
it
likes
from the
him some
Mexican
tacos.
present that there's never too much cilantro anywhere. Okay? Just kidding. And you're in Austin? Although arguably San Antonio's tacos
San Antonio
are
has better
100%
tacos.
better. 100%
Yeah.
better. Anybody who believes that Austin has better breakfast tacos is living in an alternate universe and high on meth. Trust me, I bet you taco.
My mother is in the chat room, Lanie.
Your mother also shares stories about you, so
It's true.
Pam has told me some things. Okay.
Oh no.
I love your mother.
I'm still waiting for her to get in front of all y'all and tell her about the horse story with
I know.
the flip
She was
flops.
like, "Oh my god, I can't." And I was like, "Yes,
So
you can,
funny.
and I want to hear it right now."
In Austin, they exclusively grow cilantro. I feel like that's not a cold weather herb, though, Jason.
I don't think it is. But
It's a
that's
red
going to
and
come on
green house. Hello.
Cults, Crimes, and Crops. We know.
Pulp,
Okay.
pulp, crimes, and cuisine. Also, we
I
have
love
lots of spinoffs in the.
I mean,
in the
truly,
future.
there's a lot of
It's endless.
opportunities for y'all. I know. I just had to explain that to them because I think they truly just thought house. Did you not realize you meant like
greenhouses? Nope,
Gotcha.
didn't catch that. In my
Did
mind,
not
I'm
either.
thinking it's the North Pole. They're just painted red and green, every other one.
Oh god. Oh god.
Yeah. Sometimes
Also,
my
let's
brain
take
doesn't connect.
some time to acknowledge today a very important date that's important for one of our friends that we've gotten to know, and thankful to
Yes.
you guys for making the introduction between myself and Julie Murray. That really, you guys are like probably the reason that I had such a shift in my mindset and was really like ready to move forward with my rebrand, honestly, because you guys created that that sentiment in me, which is so strange because I've talked about that before with you guys. That I was always like kind of on the periphery of interacting with survivors or family advocates because I started in 2016. And when you were podcasting, you truly just did stories. You didn't interact with the family members. You didn't go and ask their permissions. You just did it, right? They weren't real people to you at that point. You were truly just people you were like, if I pick a piece of paper and I'm like reading a story, I'm like, oh, I don't know those people. And I move on from it, but I can tell their story all day long. You don't realize, that kind of that impact and that humanity that needs to go along with what you're doing in your day to day. And you guys primarily, I would say for me, are responsible for shifting that because I thought it was the weirdest thing at first when you were like, yeah, we travel to different places and we'll go and help and do this. And I'm like, oh my God, like you're really putting yourself out there. Like you really are going and like putting your money where your mouth is essentially, to say like, yeah, I'm passionate about doing this. I want to do this. And that was a real life changer for me because I was like, well, what am I doing? Like, how am I helping? What change am I making here? And I have this festival that I could make some difference with, that I could impact something or change the lives of some people or give them a platform that they don't have. And I was truly, truly moved by that, like insane. I don't think I've ever told you guys that, but it truly
I
did.
haven't, and I'm fixing to cry.
Yeah,
I knew
really
Whitney's about to
did.
cry.
It truly did
'Cause
change
I'm
my
tearing.
life because I can't even explain that to you. Like I can't explain the impact that had because that was truly the light that, the match that lit for me that I was like, oh shit, like I should be doing this. Like I should follow in their footsteps. I've been around longer and I should be leading this. I shouldn't be going, wow, look at what they're doing. Like we should have been doing this. And I love this new generation truly of podcasters are coming in and going, no, like you don't get it. Like you have this platform because of them. And I was thinking a lot about Maura's case today because of Julie. That's who I was referring to as Julie Murray. It's been 19 years since Maura Murray went missing in New Hampshire. Obviously, that family is still searching for answers, hopefully to try and bring Maura home. But through Whitney and through Melissa, I was fortunate enough to not only meet Maura, but other not Maura, sorry, Julie, but Jason Watts too, and Ladessa and everything, and people that I didn't think I'd ever have the opportunity to meet or that I deserved to meet, honestly. And I'm truly thankful that you guys did that you did it with such grace because there are some people who take on advocacy and use it for their own self-esteem or use it for their own like to propel themselves versus trying to propel the people who truly matter, which is the family advocates and their survivors. And in thinking about Maura today, I was thinking, wow, Maura has changed so many people's lives. She, through this disappearance, there's podcasts, there's documentaries, there's specials on TV. People have a platform and have created something so much for themselves that has sustained them, and created a new life for themselves. She's literally changed people's lives. I think about Tim and Lance, who started sharing her story when there wasn't a lot of information out there about her, and how that, propelled them into something. And I'm like, we have to earn the platform that we're given. Because without these people, without these advocates, without these victims, we would have no stories to tell. We would have no cases to talk about. And I wish every day that we didn't have those things. I would rather not have that than have the platform I have. I would rather not have people who have lost their lives tragically or have been taken away from their families or have disappeared in some way like Maura has. I would rather not have that than have the platform I have. But I think people need to do a better job of recognizing why they have what they have. It's not just because you're a great voice. It's not just because you're a great researcher or that you're a good storyteller. Not at all. Not at all. And I'm humbled every day, every single day. And I truly look at both of you. Eric, our great friend, is in the chat as well. And I was always intimidated about talking to survivors, talking to family advocates, because I didn't feel like I was on the right side. I always felt icky. I always felt like, I'm not doing anything for you, but I'm going to tell your story. I'm not helping you in any way, but I'm going to tell your story. And last year's TCPF changed my life in such a way that I feel like I have some penance to make up for, that I have some things to change. And now it's the goal of my team behind the scenes. It's the goal of what we're doing for TCPF, why we are so focused on family advocates every day, 100%. I will always welcome these people for free to TCPF and give them whatever they want. You want to do a panel, you want a table, no problem. You deserve to be given this platform because TCPF wouldn't exist without you, truly. So I just want to thank you guys for doing that for me, because it truly, it was just a small thing, truly a small thing that created such a huge change in my life. And I think for other people's lives too, who come to TCPF and feel like they belong. It meant the world to me when Julie and Mariah, said that they felt safe, said that they felt comfortable coming. And I was like, wow, because of the people who care behind the scenes, that would be you and Melissa, Eric, Lisa, Charlie, who helped as well plan TCPF. Anybody else? I'm sorry if I forgot you. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Not that you didn't matter. Okay, it's okay. But
everyone matters.
Everyone matters. Okay, to me, you're special. But it truly did change people's lives. It changed mine, and I was like, dude, I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm not about profit. I said that all day, every day. I don't care. I'm not about profit whatsoever. I just am concerned about making enough money to pay for this year and to get next year going. That's really all I care about.
Yeah.
And the people who feel in line with that mission aren't sitting there going, well, what are you going to give me to come? What are you going to give me to be there? And I'm like, you wouldn't have what you have without these people. You should be asking, can I go to bring my audience? Can I go to use my platform to help you? So I don't deal with egos anymore. I used to care about going, gosh, who can we invite? Who can we bring in? But more and more, I'm more selective about who we invite into our space and who we want, because I want people to be respectful. I want people to know that this is not a place you're going to come to and, hear somebody recount the worst day of somebody else's life and they have an audience member who's experienced, something terrible, either through their family member or surviving a crime. This year, we're going to have Tara Newell and Collier Landry. Collier's father literally murdered his mother. Tara was attacked by somebody and she literally saved her own life. Like, I don't think people understand that. Like, she fought for her life. She won. And she's here to tell the story. And she's such a brave and inspiring person. And so I'm like, those are the people I'd rather focus on. Those are the people I'd rather give the attention to than these podcasters. No offense, guys, because we're all in the same ball field, right? Than these podcasters who come with their ego. I don't care about your ego. It means nothing to me whatsoever. So I think everybody is starting to see that. I talked about this yesterday in the live I did for TCPF that, we're here to create an inclusive space, and it's not at all in Lisa and I's DNA to go against what we know is inherently right. So we're not going to allow people who have made, really gross content, who have made derogatory statements towards different people of communities who identify differently, or people who have harmed this space and harmed participants or harmed family members. Like, I think about the Murray family and all the accusations that have been hurled their way. And I'm like, if you would have just taken the time to actually talk to them, I can't imagine you would ever look at Julie Murray and go, you're the problem. I can't imagine that ever in my life. Sorry to be on my soapbox, but I just wanted to make sure that I expressed it to you specifically, to both of you specifically, for creating this change that truly altered my life. And I can't even imagine the type of impact you have on people who feel like they're not being heard by law enforcement, who feel like they can't get their loved ones on social media or attention in the news, because having you as a platform or being able to utilize your platform is probably the most exposure that they'll get. And the fact that you have such great relationships within the community that other people will use their platforms to share your message of, their loved ones. It's just incredible. So I just wanted to say thank you. And Chris and Pam and Joe, Jeff, I'm 75 hitting a little too much. I just want to say that you guys should be so proud and so damn, my girls are great, because they really are. And so I'm honored to know you. I love you. And I think, Joe, sorry, I just go by whatever comes up to my brain.
And the best way.
My nicknames stick. So if you're a Joe, you're a Joe forever. Just FYI.
There you go.
Sorry,
It's fine. He answers to a lot of names.
Joe. But
well,
anyways,
that was
so
sweet.
That was so sweet. And
kudos to Brett for making it strong.
Unanticipated, you can call me Joe Mama.
See, he's getting into the play. He's getting into it.
Yeah.
Joe Mama.
That was. We did not ask Lanie to say any of that. Just going to put that on the record.
Didn't throw a script her way.
Listen, make us look good.
I just got a Venmo payment, so strange. So weird. So thank you.
So strange. Yeah. Thank you. It really does mean a lot.
Weird.
When we didn't ever anticipate this little bitty hobby of day drinking and talking about the most horrible things ever to turn into this.
Definitely not.
The day we met Jason Watts was the day our whole mindset shifted. So if you need someone to thank, talking is hard. Yep. Jason is the person.
He's incredible too.
We were scared to death to reach out to him, and Whitney and I are like, we got to do it. We got to do it.
Yeah.
And I just remember that night like crazy about reaching out to him. And he changed it for us. Definitely.
Yeah.
Because we were the same way. And we did feel weird about what we were doing. We're like, we can't make money on this because it just feels crappy.
Yeah.
There was a long time we were thinking that we didn't even want ads, like ad sales, because we were like, we can't put ads in our episodes. That's gonna that. What does that look like for family members? Like we're making money off, and then it's like, how are we going to fund these trips if we don't have some sort of revenue to help us get there and help us do more for the families? How do we give back more if we don't get any?
Exactly.
So, here we are.
Yeah, I think with new creators especially, I was very much the same way. Honestly, I remember having a conversation with who was it? True Crime All the Time, right? Because we kind of started around the same time. I think they started maybe a couple months before me. and stuff. And we got together to talk shop about, what we were doing and how we plan to like promote our shows and monetize our content, blah, blah, blah. This is again before there was a conversation in ethics. So there, we weren't concerned about our storytelling. We weren't concerned about our research or ethics or anything like that. We were not concerned about that, for full transparency. Okay. That has since changed, but I talked about it. I remember having this conversation. I was like, I'm not going to have any ads in my show. I'm only going to be on Patreon. Like, I'm only going to monetize on Patreon and do that. And they literally laughed at me. I remember they were like, Lanie, no, that's stupid. And so I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, okay, well, and then they like broke it down, because I had a great number of patrons. Now I don't really care about my Patreon or anything like that, because I'm like, I don't have enough time to like give you bonus content, create a whole new like show to give you. And honestly, like for new podcasters, when you create a Patreon, I always say make sure you're giving people content that it's worth the price. Like, don't just create a Patreon and go, well, I'm giving you this, and that's it. And why don't I have more? Like, when people get on social media and complain about the lack of downloads, about the lack of, patrons that they have, or monetization opportunities and things like that, I'm just like, that does not draw people to you the way you think it does. They don't go, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for you, let me go be a patron. They go, well, if your content was better, like maybe. So I always like say, like, focus on the content first. That's the most important thing. Work on your audio, work on, delivering better scripts or whatever. Like, I don't know, it depends on how people present their cases and stuff. But, you quickly realize that that's just not how it works. And Eric's right. Through this opportunity that you have to monetize your content, and if you place the ads in a space that makes sense, right? That you're like, okay, this is a natural pause. We can add some ads in here and stuff like that. It truly can make a difference. Through my show and through my shows, thankfully, on Spreaker, who's been phenomenal as a podcast host and everything for me, they've allowed me to help 2 of my people go full-time into creation, right? Not just through my show, but I've supported them essentially through all of this. We're able to, a lot of my revenue, I would say, from the show goes straight to DCPF, right? Because I want to make sure we use all of the ticket sales and stuff towards the programming, and like the little stuff I want to pay for and be like, that's not a part of TCPF's budget, so I'll take care of it. So a lot of TCPF comes out of my pocket. It's like, I'm going to pay for this room, or I'm going to pay for this travel and all this stuff, because I'm fortunate enough to have a successful show to be able to create something big like this. If I didn't have TCPF, it would be, I'd be doing things like Sarah does, Eric does, Charlie does, where they choose a charity to donate to or a cause to donate to every month. And I would do something like that. But a lot of my funds go to my people who create these shows to keep the content going, and then to TCPF. So everything for me is truly passionate. When we do these live shows that we're doing in March in Albuquerque, and probably beyond that, I don't want any of the profits, because it's truly just a fun thing for me to do. And I'm like, if it can be used somewhere else, I have a full-time job, so I'm fine. If we can use it somewhere else, then I'm happy to make sure that happens.
Because you're amazing.
Yes. Love it.
Some would disagree. I would tell you who, but he doesn't like me, so just whatever.
Yeah.
Because I told him he couldn't come to TCPF.
Well, speaking of people who've made lots of money off of someone's misfortune.
Joe Mama.
Not Joe Mama. He funds my little endeavor here to make sure that other people can benefit.
We not love our supportive spouses. Like, shout out to them.
Totally.
We leave this house like a lot, right?
Yep.
Do you ever feel bad as moms? Like, because my child is younger than your children, right? So Tilly's almost 2, and I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, I still want to have this identity as a person outside of being a mom and stuff. Not that I don't obviously love my kid, but I want to I want to have something that's just mine, and being able to like go and do these live shows with you guys or go and travel for these other things. Like Brett is 100% happy at home. He would love to be a stay-at-home dad. My goal is to one day retire him and let him do that because he would love to save on daycare. But do you guys, like, now that your kids are older, do you have any mom guilt associated with that, with leaving, or even just from a spouse perspective of like being like, Brett's like my best friend. I love being around him and stuff. And so every time I go to these things that we do, I'm always like, man, he would love this. He probably wouldn't. I would love having him there, but I always like miss him and stuff. So I always feel bad that I'm like, dang, I'm having this experience without him and I wish he was here. But I'm so thankful to him for kind of being supportive enough to be like, this is what makes her happy. And so I'm happy to like stay at home.
I don't have mom guilt now because I have teenagers and they literally don't even know I'm gone ever.
No lie. When we were in, was it when we were in Fort Worth for TCPF?
Yes.
Lucas calls, her oldest calls her and he's like, Mom, are you in your room? And she's like, I've been gone for a week.
I haven't been here. And he's just like, what? Where are you? And I'm like, I'm in Texas. And he's just like, oh, okay. Well, when do you get back? He needs something. I mean, it took that long. Yeah, they don't know. And Chris travels all the time, so I don't feel bad about that either. So I wish that he gets to come. I mean, he does come half the time anyways.
Yes, I love when he comes.
He's cracks me up. But yeah, like when we go to London in a few months, I'm bummed that they don't get to go because they want to.
He said the cutest thing. Highlight that. That's so cute. I love that.
That's cute.
Yes, he is the sweetest. He really is.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna go get mad at Brett and be like,
I get a little bit of mom guilt, but it's because mine are almost 10 next, my dogs give me more guilt than anyone else in this household. Tonks will freaking pout for a month when I'm gone. But my kids make me feel a little bit guilty because they'll be like, I just missed you so much. Or when I leave, they start crying like, I'm going to miss you while you're gone. And I'm like, you both have cell phones. You can call me. And so we live in a world of technology. It's fine. But
and
my husband's an introvert, so he's like, I don't care to go where all the people are that you like to go do those things for, but he does like to go see places. So I get sad that he can't go to the traveling portion of it with us. But when we travel, it's usually
bring Brett, and he can go with Brett, and him like would probably be fine because they don't like to do things that are podcast related. They'd rather go and do something else.
Yeah. Now, when we were at CrimeCon in Vegas, they're always super helpful. Like they'll do whatever we need. They are our workhorses. They will do anything and everything they need us to do. But the interaction with people, that's just not his favorite thing in the world. So he would love to go with us all the time, just not talk to the people. Now, I am sad he's not getting to go to London with us. He's upset he's not getting to go to London with us. But one day we will be over the cusp where we can afford for all of us to go to London, and then we will.
Oh my gosh. I know. We were supposed to go to the UK this year, but Nico, who is our audio producer for the shows that we do, and Jesse, who is his partner, they're getting married next year. And so I was like, well, I can't do such a quick turnaround. Like we were going to go in October, and then I think they were getting married kind of somewhere in the summer or so, or September. It was just like, y'all, the UK is expensive, and I got to pay for this baby seat. Are you kidding? No. So I was like, I'm not doing that 2 times. I know, I'm not doing that twice.
Damn kids.
So we're pushing it to next year, but we're going to go to Canada this year, Brett and I, for our anniversary. We're going to go to Banff, Canada. Just don't follow me. Jeff, same. We don't think you're weird for not talking to people. Like, we totally get it. No, my husband, Brett's like 100%. Rather, he's one of those ambiverted people. Like, if he had to talk to somebody, he can have and carry on a conversation and find something of mutual interest or something. but he would rather be like, I'd rather just go and do something. Like, I'd rather go and like sightsee or go and do something cool versus like being in your hotel and being surrounded by a bunch of people who do the same thing that I don't do, because I don't get it. And I think for us, we get it.
And talk about cases that they have no idea. They're like, what? Yes.
I think, and Brett has literally never listened to my show. Like, true crime is not his thing. I force him to download my audiobooks just so I get the sales on there. I'm like, use your credits, download the audiobook, but don't listen to it and don't tell me. That's the weirdest thing for me. I don't want anybody to tell me they've listened to my audiobooks. I'm like, it's different to like listen to my podcast. Don't care. I also get a little weird when people are like, oh my God, I listen to your podcast. I went to a freaking book signing and they heard me here in Denton and they were like, are you Lanie? And I was like, yes. It's like, why? And they were like, oh my God, I knew that was your voice. And I was like, that is so weird. I'm alone.
We had the same thing happen to us when we were in Vegas for CrimeCon. We went to breakfast with Eric. And that's sweet. Kayline listens to every episode.
Okay, brag.
So sweet. When we were in Vegas, we went to breakfast and it was us four. So us, our spouses, and Eric eating breakfast. And Melissa and I get a message on Instagram and we're like, and it said, are you eating breakfast at whatever restaurant we were at? I don't remember the name of it. And we were like looking around like that's weird.
Yeah.
And we said, yes? Question mark. And they said, I heard y'all's laugh and immediately knew it was you.
Oh my God.
Laugh.
Okay.
That's kind of weird. I'm the fifth
Eric's
wheel.
our favorite fifth wheel.
Wait, but how do you say your husband's name? Because Whitney said it some way and I say it a different way. So now I want to know. So,
Kayline. That's what I thought.
I've never heard him say his name.
How do you say it?
Like my husband. I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, it's Kayline. He's named after a baseball player.
Kayline. Okay, did not.
I bet you could find the baseball card when you go look for your nephew.
Right?
Yes.
I thought it was Kayleen. And I was like, well, what a fancy name.
See, Jeff knows who it is because he's a baseball person.
Okay,
yay, sports.
Okay, cool, guys. We get it.
Yeah.
God. Okay, and I hated Vegas. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a time in a lifetime place. I only don't need to go there once.
Understand how you get any. I don't know. I'm just not a party person like that, I guess. Thunder Down Under, I was like critiquing their dance moves. I was like, you guys are hot, but you cannot dance.
I was so disappointed in Thunder Down Under. If I ever go back, it's Magic Mike or nothing.
Yeah, because at least you know they're dancing, like actual dancers.
Yes.
Cheers.
Exactly.
I was expecting Channing Tatum. That's it. And
yeah,
that
right. They were hot. Like they were hot, but I was like, you guys suck at dancing. And like that was just so bad and stuff. And whatever. But
I
also
don't like to gamble. So I like to do any of the other things. I loved going to Meow Wolf. Nice. I've been there 3 times now.
I've never
when we
been
went
there.
after CrimeCon, Melissa, Chris, Jeff, and I went to Meow Wolf, but then on the way out, we noticed a little area in that area 15, area 51, whatever it's called. I don't know. It's the opposite of whatever the real place is. That place has this rum distillery. It's like you buy a ticket and you take like a rickshaw over to this other warehouse and you go in and it's very, what kind of theme would you call it?
A rickshaw? Isn't that like
the bike
Thailand?
Yeah, it's exactly it's a rickshaw like in Thailand, but it's very it's like a stranded beach kind of a theme. And then you go.
Oh yeah, I was like,
she loves it. She's saying it's a blasphemy that I don't like to gamble because she has a gambling problem.
Oh wow!
My mom used to go to Vegas.
We're more sensitive than that, I promise.
She'll do like 3 machines in front of her and 2 machines behind her at the same time. So like that's my mom in Vegas.
You know, I like my money in my pocket. So, and I have the worst luck. So I will always lose. Yes. So I'm just like, I'm paying to lose. Like I'm literally sitting there going, bah. Indiana Jones vibe.
It did have an Indiana Jones vibe. So like you walk in, but it's also super dark. It's also a burlesque show in one spot. Yeah. In one room, you go into like a submarine and it makes you feel like you're underwater and like this chandeliers sway back and forth, but you're not moving.
What an experience. I should hang out with you guys.
And this is in a random warehouse that we like had to walk, and it looks shady AF. Like,
so strange.
It's also kind of an escape room-esque thing because you just wander around and it's a maze and it's all dark.
Don't tell that to Bob.
It's all dark. And then you go and find like 4 different places to try different types of rum. One of the rums was like 160 something proof or 150 proof, something that like you could die. It burns your insides. Like I smelled it and thought I lost all of my nose hair. Oh my gosh. There's a lady with a snake. There's a guy that tap dances. One lady sits up, does like a handstand and shoots bows and arrows with her feet. Lost Souls Distillery. That's what it's called.
It was Gaslight. Oh my gosh. It's probably like what's absinthe or whatever. Ugh.
Yeah. It was really cool though. We didn't drink the rum, but we watched the shows like 3 times. I swear.
We'd walk around and the shows would be like right there.
Yeah. So strange. This reminds me, like what you're telling me reminds me of that time. So Generation Y, I'm sure you guys have heard of them. Probably
not at all.
They're, pretty big in the podcasting world within true crime. So before, gosh, when was this? So we would go to LA quite a bit, right? Because when I was working for Spotify, I would go there pretty much once or twice a year to do recordings and stuff. And I think it was their 5-year anniversary or something of that nature. I think they were just doing, or maybe they were just doing like a little live show in LA. And I went there with Haley. I think you guys know her, right? You know Haley?
We do.
Okay. I don't know who knows her because she's not really that great of a person in general. She kind of sucks. And she's just terrible to be around. So I always worry about people who like know her and stuff.
She was my least favorite experience of TCPF in Kansas City. I'll just say that.
I am so sorry, but also same. She's been the least favorite experience of mine since 2017. I'm just kidding. I love her. But don't. So I think Haley was there with us. But we went to a Gen Y show that they were doing. And Justin and I went out to this random thing. Like it was in this bar that served like the only thing I can describe it as like Beetlejuice-esque, right?
Okay.
And we're there, we're hanging out, and we get cornered into this like back room where they do like a burlesque show. And I was like so excited because I was like, oh my God, I've never seen one. I want to go. It's so great. Or whatever. This girl's like giving you a stapler to like staple dollar bills to her body and stuff. So it was like one of those. She cuts her boob with a sword and shit. And I'm just like, what is happening here? Like, what kind of show is this? And then there's a goat, like a guy brought his goat to the bar, and the goat was just like hanging around. And I was like, what is this? Like, and Justin's just like totally at home.
Yep, this has Justin vibes all over. Was there a band?
This is fucking cool. Yeah, there was no band.
Was there a band called Cattle Decapitation playing? Because he told us all about cattle decapitation.
Yeah, there was nothing. It was just like the weirdest thing. And so we're hanging out at this bar. The goat's there. We get ushered into the burlesque room. I staple a dollar bill to this girl's butt. And because I was like, there's no way this is a real thing. Like, there's no way this is a real staple. 100% a real staple gun. And I did it. I was like, and then I felt bad because I was like, I didn't think it was real. So
this freaks me out.
Then
this is terrifying.
It was the weirdest experience of my life. Then we leave. And he's like, oh God, I got to get a hot dog from this hot dog lady. and she's like on the corner. And so we get hot dogs. And then he's like, still need breakfast though, because it was like really late. And so we go to like this 24/7 diner. He orders like this giant plate of like pancakes. Haley and I go back to our Airbnb and we're just like, what the fuck happened? What did we just experience? It was the weirdest thing. It was I have the pictures of the girl and stuff because they were like, you can take pictures, you just can't take video. And I was like, nobody is going to believe this is my life. Like, I was just like, and then the goat, I was really upset with the goat because I was like, how rude to have like a farm animal in here in the middle of friggin' LA. Like, I don't even remember where we were. I think somewhere off La Brea and stuff. And I was like, you have this random goat in here, and then it was just like the weirdest thing to me. So that was my weird thing.
But at the same time, it's like on brand for Justin.
Oh, 100%. He was like totally in his element. He was like, oh yeah, this guy is like a guy. Yeah.
Did he wear his 3/4 length sleeve t-shirt?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. As he is known to do. As he is known to do. No, he's a really great person, honestly. Like he's just really such a really solid dude who is unapologetically himself, but also a really good friend. You know, like you really want to have somebody like Justin in your life because he is sensitive. He is really empathetic, and he feels deeply, I think, for other people, and he gets really affected by some of I've never ever in my life understood some of the comments that people in true crime get from like listeners. Like they actively get like hate emails, they get like these reviews and stuff, and I'm thankful to God or whoever you believe in. It's just a phrase I use, but I'm thankful to God that I do not get things like that. The worst review I ever got, besides from Miss Ginger 52, and if you're old school, you know, and I hope she never has a good day in her life. Truly, it's gonna trigger so many people if they know, because Miss Ginger 52 is like just a soulless individual.
Guess who I'm Googling when we're done?
She's so bad. She's like this person who would like go and leave numerous like 1-star reviews across the board to so many true crime podcasters, and like make super irrelevant comments about like talking about like other shows. So she'd go on like True Crime Fan Club and be like, I hate their voices. They always go back and forth. And I'm like, I don't have anybody on my, what is this? And so she would just like leave random comments, but it was this person who was just like constantly hitting different true crime podcasters, and we were all like in the same circle, in the same group and stuff. And so she became a joke. And I was like, one day I got on Twitter and I was like, I hope everybody has a good day except Miss Ginger 52. Like, F you. It's like nobody likes you. Oh, that was a good one. I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, so the email. So the worst like email I've ever gotten or review I've ever gotten was somebody, and it's not even the worst. It's kind of funny and on brand. The cat complaint lady. I have no idea. I don't look at my reviews anymore, so I have no idea.
No, this is ours.
Oh, you're a person. It's the same one. She's probably like reinvented herself and is like Miss Brunette 39. I have no
She
idea.
wrote a bad review that says, hate this podcast. They hate cats. We've never once talked about cats on our podcast.
Swear, never talked about cats.
Has a cat.
I have a
My cat Rocky is super offended and hates you now. So congratulations.
So now the running joke is that we just hate all the cats.
Okay.
We're clearly dog people, as mine wags her butt in the video.
Sometimes we just throw out that we love cats just in case she's listening.
Just in case she's like, God, I wonder why they keep talking about cats so much. So the review I got was it goes, it sounds like a little Mexican girl reading a book report. And I was like, okay, well, you're not wrong. I'm Mexican. And I am reading or something. Like she's like reading a book report. And I was like, first of all, the scripts are way more interesting than a book report. And also I wrote great book reports. Okay. So thank you.
You would be happy to get a book report.
Yeah, you would love it if you were my professor or teacher. You would absolutely die for my book reports. It was so funny. Oh my God, so you think I'm skinny? Like on TikTok. So yeah, it was the weirdest thing ever to me. And I was like, you're not wrong. But I'm also not one of those people who like, I used to care about my reviews in terms of like when I first started, and getting a 1-star review was like really sad. And you're like, man, anything less than a 5 sucks. But Charlie has this really great philosophy of like, those aren't for me. Like people who are putting those on there are not for me. Right. Like if you care enough about my show or you like the content, you would email me. Right. And say like, hey, I'd like for you to do this. And I see that in such a huge way because we've had people who've emailed the show and go, hey, you said this in your show and or you said this during an episode, and I don't know if you know this, but this means XYZ and this, and, correcting you. And I'm like, oh, dang, I didn't know that. So we can, but I don't go back and offer corrections. I just update the episode itself without like going back and saying like, oh, hey, because I think it's, I don't know. For me, it's just a weird thing to do, to go back and be like, that last episode that I did, and maybe they haven't listened to it, or they'll be like, I don't even know what you're talking about because you didn't say it.
Mhm.
I just update the episode. So I live by that philosophy now, and I don't check my reviews. So if you're out there leaving me negative reviews, I don't see them. And I wish you the best of luck in your life and future endeavors.
On you.
On you. Because I'm still making my content.
Ginger lady, Miss Ginger,
Miss
52.
Ginger 52. I should have gotten a tattoo of her.
It's not too late.
Oh my gosh, you guys. But see, you don't even know. I mean, I'm sure there is now. When I started in 2016, I think I've shared this with you before. I think it's probably one of the first stories, because I didn't really interact with you a ton until I think maybe Vegas, like where we actually like got to hang out and stuff. And I was testing the waters with us, and being like,
you were feeling us out. It's fine. It is what it is.
Can I like you?
Open the circle or not?
Yeah, because honestly, and I'm sure you've seen it now with how long you've been in it too. Is that you see people who pod fade out of this, who like get so into podcasting, get so into what they're doing, and then they're like, a month or two later, like, I can't support this, I can't keep doing this because I'm not making any money off of this, so I gotta go. And then they end it. I'm like, I am like a roach, dude. I will be around forever until I lose my voice or I cannot do it anymore, like for some physical reason, because I'm like, I will outlive and outlast everyone. Okay. I will always be here creating content. But like, you see people pod fade, and there's so many people that I've interacted with, that I've supported and stuff, to be like, hey, if you have a question about starting a show, or if you're a new show, you know what I mean? Like, I've always extended kind of the branch to say, like, I'm paying it forward because there were so many people before me who helped me out, who gave me good feedback, who mentioned my show on their podcast and stuff like that. Like, I had Gen Y mention it, The Vanish. Like, those are huge mentions when you're starting off and you're like, holy crap. And, built your listenership from there. But you get so nervous because then they leave and you're like, okay, well, that's it. They disappear off of Instagram. They disappear off of Twitter. And so you're like, I don't have any other way to contact you. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't, like, outside of that. So I always get a little like apprehensive with like bringing new people into the group, and then they have their own like interpersonal drama with other people and things like that. So I'm like, I've been through this so long. I don't want to do it again. Like, going through the drama side of things. But yeah, you guys were just really different for me. And so I was like, I felt like I wanted to be in the club. I was like, wait a minute, how do I be your friends? Like, can I be friends with you because you're cool? Be my friends. So yeah. So
that's how we were as well.
Not to me though. I'm like nobody in this group. Like, truly, you wrong.
Awesome. Wrong. We had heard about you before Vegas.
Yeah.
Heard what?
Long before Vegas.
Who and what? Like, just kidding.
When we got to Vegas, we're like, do you think we're gonna like her?
Probably not.
I know, because like we knew everything. Like, everyone was always talking about you, and oh, you're so fun, and like you just do all this amazing stuff.
Very cool.
And we're like, oh my god, what if she doesn't like us? That's what we really were like.
It's a very real possibility,
We're
like, how do we pass the test? How do we pass the test?
I think Eric and Josh are like a good precipice for that. So like, I don't even remember how Eric and I connected or whatever. And I just felt like it's so natural, right? Like, it just feels like this was just meant to be my friend. Like, this was meant to be somebody that I love and I care about. And it's the same way with you guys. Like, I think those are the best friendships because I don't remember like the start of them, right? I'm always like, I don't know. They've just always kind of been in my life. So I just have had them, and same for Josh. Like, Josh was like a periphery person too. He wasn't even in true crime at all. He started 2 shows, and I guested on one of the shows. We had a mutual friend who had a show, and I guested on their show, and Josh was a part of it. And I was like, oh, I like him. And I was like, oh, I want to get to know him. And I want to listen to his shows and all this stuff. And then he did. And he was telling me about true crime bullshit before it happened. And I was like, oh my God, like you don't understand what you're about to create. Like I saw it happening and I was like, you don't even know what this is going to be because nobody is doing this. Nobody is investigating this case the way that you are. And nobody's going to offer this coverage of, at the time, Israel Keys, right? It was a thing that you heard an episode on a podcast and you moved on from it. It wasn't anything that anybody did a deep dive into, did a full investigative series on. And when he was going through the whole thing, I was like, this is insane. Like, I didn't even give a crap about Israel Keys. I was like, yeah, I heard about that case or I heard about what he did, but like, blah, didn't care about it. Like, it didn't catch my interest. And then he started talking about it and I was like, oh, that's so much more like in depth than I've heard anywhere else. And so I was like, you have no idea what you're about to do. Like, this is going to change the game. Like, you're going to be at the level or higher than like Swindled, for instance. Like, I don't know if you guys have met, I don't like to say their name, but like a concerned citizen and stuff, because they're very private. They're one of the people who's very much the same way of like having a pseudonym, having themselves very separate from their show and what they do professionally. So I respect that at all costs.
We have not met them, but I really want to because I live in the same town as them.
They're amazing. They're so funny. So when I started the Texas Podcasters Union, like way long time ago, before the pandemic kind of like stalled everything. So we couldn't get together and do our meetups and stuff. They were a part of it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like you have no idea how big your show is about to get. Like, it's going to be insane. And at the time they were just like, they published a few episodes and I was like, this is so good. Like, it's going to be so great. And I'm always so excited and like enamored with people who have just like that raw talent. It's not something that I have. Like, I recognize that in myself. Like, I could never create something like that. Like, I know that that's not like within my realm of possibility. Like, I can go and voice your project. I can go and do this thing and offer like something else. But I recognize that, like, I can't do what Josh does. I cannot do what Swindled does. And I think that's so great and so unique to them. And I never look at people and go, damn, why not me? Why didn't that happen for me? I always go and be like, man, I'm so, like, proud of you. I'm so excited for you. Like, I love that. I want everybody to, like, have this wonderful success because I am so for indie shows, like, succeeding on their own and demonstrating that they can be this great thing without a network. Like, Swindled is just like that. They don't need a network to be as great and wonderful as they are and be able to have like this huge platform that they have. They did that all on their own. And I always get so excited when indie shows do that because networks can sometimes filter and water down and change the mission of the show, you know? So I'm always happy to see that. Eric stalked me, apparently. He just admitted it. So
I credit.
Oh, I think he asked me to listen to him and offer feedback. And then I was like, you could change this, you could change that. And he was like, actually, I have this and I have that. And I was like, I thought you were asking me for advice. So whatever.
I credit TCPF for a lot of us, of a lot of us, because before that we did CrimeCon Austin, and that's where we really met everyone. We had the pleasure of spending quite a bit of time with Sarah Turney when we were at CrimeCon. And when we went to TCPF, she texted me and said, hey, my friend Eric is there. He's going alone. Please look out for him. And so, of course, we were set up across the walkway from him. And I walk over and I said, are you Eric? Because I was told to look out for you, kind of a situation.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, yes. And then we went to lunch and Eric was hungover and it was great. And
I love
then
him.
Like the rest is history. I mean, I listened to Josh for a long time before we were even a podcast.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we were in the same room as Josh, I was like, that's Josh over there. You can't, like, fangirling a little bit in the corner.
It's weird, right? To meet people you've listened to but never met, and then you meet them and you're like, I know your voice, but I don't know you. And it's so cool.
And
I know, I
people
love
don't
that.
like match their voices, and you're like,
oh yeah, it's weird. I remember Mike and Gibby from True Crime All the Time when I first met them, because I listened to them all the time.
I love them.
I was like, you do not at all look like who I pictured. True Crime Garage, same thing. I was like, you guys are complete opposite of what I imagined. Not in the worst way, but also just like completely different, because I'm very imaginative when I'm reading books and all that stuff. I'm glad you said that about TCPF, because that truly was the goal. Lisa
But
and
I think that we got lucky I say, as a podcast, in the year that we were able to do that.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately we were in the pandemic year, and y'all still had the conference, and it was so much more intimate that it was the perfect storm for us. We were able to network with people we never would have been able to network with, to build the relationships and build the friendships that definitely wouldn't have happened otherwise. So unfortunately it was a hard year for y'all as a conference, but it was perfect for us.
Yeah.
And again, same thing, Eric. We would not be where we're at without it.
Oh, so that makes me really happy, because TCPF truly started in a hotel bar. We were at a conference, I will say, and we were sitting around. Lisa and I were sitting there, and I was just like, we could do this. You know what I want to do? I want to do this. I imagined Podcast Row, right, that you see at CrimeCon. I imagined that, and I was like, that's what I want. Like, it's so much fun just to be around my friends, just to be around other creators who get it, who want to do the same thing, who like the same thing. And the energy is just so intense, so crazy. Like, it's the best feeling. So we were literally sitting there, Lisa and I, Charlie was there. I forget who else, but we were just sitting there and talking about it. And literally it was 2017 or 2016, and maybe it was 2017, and Lisa was like, let's do it then. Let's create the True Crime Podcast Festival, and let's start looking for things. So she took the helm for 2018 and 19, or 2020-ish, for the whole COVID situation. But she took the helm for the first few True Crime Podcast Festivals. And Chicago was a huge success. It was completely grassroots, word of mouth. And we were like, man, I'm always so like honored that people trust us enough to create this festival and believe that it's going to happen. Like, I believe in transparency 100%. I've unfortunately been bamboozled, I will say, by other creators who are no longer in this space, who created a festival of some sort, or who had the same intention, and were really deceiving or deceptive to the creators that were coming. Like, at the time, Josh didn't have the success that he has. And I love him so much, and I care about him so much. And I'm fortunate enough that I've been in a good position financially, right, within my professional life, and same with Brett. Like, as a family, we have the funds to be able to like do what I want to do as a hobby, right? Like, if you want to look at it as a hobby or whatever. To me, it's more than that, but other people would be like, well, it's not your job, so it would be classified as a hobby. So fine. I'm fortunate enough that I can support that. At the time, Josh was living in New York. They were scraping by, right? Like, Andrew was building furniture. Josh was making like zero money off of his shows because his shows were so niche. And he was planning on flying from New York to like Louisiana, I think, or like New Orleans or something. He had paid this money for a table, like $300, $400. Could you imagine paying that much for a TCPF table? Like, for a ticket? Like, we keep everything so cheap. Like, we could raise our prices, but it's so like against like what Lisa and I are about. But you're like paying $300, I think, or $500 for a table or a booth or whatever there. And this organizer is telling you they've sold 300, 400 tickets. Like, it's going to be great. And then you have zero info months leading into this festival or podcast conference or whatever, leading into it, going, I don't know anything about programming. I'm supposed to be doing a live show with somebody, but I don't know like what we're doing. And I was on the planning committee for this festival, right? And Brett was the person who built the website. Like, he created everything. So I was like, I'm the type of person, like, I'm not going to go and check your work. I'm going to trust what you're telling me, right? Because I don't believe that you're being intentionally deceptive or whatever. So I felt really weird about everything. And I told Brett, I was like, I need the password and stuff to get on the website because I want to see like what the sales really are, because it feels different than what I'm being told. Like, something was just off to me. And I saw that we literally, I think, had sold 5 tickets. And there were no attendees. It was all podcasters. So it was just like, it would be us in a room, 5 of us. And I was like, how long were you going to keep this going? Because it was a few months into it, like 2 months. Could you imagine not having any programming done, any like confirmed guests, any attendees for TCPF whatsoever? Could you imagine?
No,
that?
Because it's February and we still have 4 months and I'm already getting stressed out about it.
6 months, ma'am, right?
It's a long time away, but I'm still nervous.
6 months. But yeah, like, we're going to be done like planning most of everything by June, right? So that we have July and August, because we waited a really long time. We waited until like July last year to get everything finalized, and we're not going to do that again this year.
Hallelujah.
I know. I'm such a sucker for people who are like, I didn't get a chance to do this. I'm like, okay, I'll open tickets back up. Go ahead and do it. That created such a headache for us. Yeah. So I'm unfortunately not going to do that again this year. I'm going to have a strict cutoff date. And it will hurt my soul, but I will do it for the betterment of the team. But when I found that out, I was like, you kind of come up with a conundrum here, because you're like, I was friends with everybody who was involved, but I was like, this is just wrong. Like, this is the wrong thing to do. I can't perpetuate the lie once I already know what the truth is. So like, I went around secretly to people, including Josh, and was like, hey, just so you know, I'm planning on saying like, I can't make it because I got a free ticket. So I would be like, I can't make it after all, because I'm not going to waste money flying to me to come to Dallas. I'm staying in an expensive hotel because they picked a really expensive hotel. And then I have to pay for flights to get there and all this stuff. And who's showing up? Nobody. Like, there was truly nobody. And I told Josh, I was like, please do not book your tickets. Please do not do this. Please don't do that. And then they finally, once I think they got word that like word was going around that there was like nobody who was coming out, they finally were like, oh yeah, we just didn't sell enough tickets, and so we couldn't do it. And I'm like, but you literally told people you had 300 tickets sold. Like, that was a number they kept using. Like, we're up to 300 right now. We have 300. Yeah. And I was like, I cannot believe that like you would do that to people. So like, my goal with TCPF is always transparency, is always to be like, I don't want you to feel like you're being bamboozled, right? So last year we sold almost 300 tickets. I'd say like 280 or so. But you would be surprised, like the attrition on people who are like, can't make it after all, can't come after all. So we didn't have 280 people show up to TCPF. It was like maybe 150 to 200 people, I would say. Like, I can't even say conservatively. And it was our first year back from the pandemic. And it was really sensitive to feedback about the festival, because I was doing it for the most part at the beginning and on my own, right? Like, Lisa needed to take a break because she was super burnt out from doing it the last 3 years. And I was like, I got this, I'll do it. And I just had a baby. And I was like, oh, for sure, I got it. And then thankfully you guys stepped in and were like, yes, I'm happy to help. Eric stepped in, Charlie was back in, and it just like changed the whole game. It was almost too late, but not so much. Because I think if we would have started earlier, like we did this year, we would have so much more to offer than we did last year. But thankfully Charlie took over, on soliciting the feedback and getting it. I was like, please don't tell me anything about it. mentally I cannot handle it. Tell Lisa, and whatever the feedback is for like what we should improve next year, share it later because I'm not prepared for this. So I'm hoping that like this year is completely different. I'll actually enjoy it and I'll have some fun and we'll go from there. So who knows? Cheers to my French 75. Those are my favorite right now.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
Champagne, gin and or vodka and or tequila, and lemon juice and simple syrup.
Oh,
but I throw cranberry in. It's really good.
That's a lot more complicated than just opening a bottle and pouring.
I agree. I love wine, so it'll be whatever. Anyway, so that's all I have to say. Oh my gosh, we went over so much, right? Is this only supposed to be an hour? Sorry.
Roughly, as long as it's gonna be as long as we
have bosses.
Yeah,
we don't.
We are our own
anyone.
bosses. Yeah.
Sorry.
We're like Lanie's on tonight, so we don't have to talk.
Wow, am I that person?
No, we love you.
Not at all.
Like,
but it
like,
was
this bitch
seriously
is
great.
gonna go all night. We better cut out.
You
Oh
have
my
the
god, I'm
best
Bob.
stories.
You are not
I'm
Bob.
Bob.
You're not Bob. Bob
Also,
is
kudos to
3 hour
Bob.
minimum. Kudos to Bob. He's killing it on
I
Line
know,
Crime.
Long Crime.
He looks so dapper every time he's on there.
Yeah, because
I'm
honestly,
so proud of him.
I'm glad he's keto and he lost all that weight because there was this one picture when he was doing the Anthony Garcia case that they just like keep using that's so unflattering for him and all of his news articles about the Anthony Garcia case. And I'm like, you bastards, you better change Bob's picture. Like I want to.
Yes.
He's
Can we get an updated picture of Bob every time they post it? Can we get an updated picture of Bob, please?
I know. I want to be like, here's a picture you can use for Bob Mata. My God, there's so many more out there.
He's so hardcore and like just drinks his seltzers every time we're together.
You know what? Cheers to his recovery because I love that he does that. And I made the mistake.
I'm so proud of him.
I know. But I have that. I told Eric about this. I have that foot and mouth disease. Because I make jokes, like my way of interacting with people is often like jokes and humor and stuff like that. In awkward situations, I always like make jokes about things to like get through situations. And I'm like, oh my God. Like I told Bob, I was like, I'll get you like whatever bottle you want, whatever you drink. And he's like, I'm sober. I'm like, of course you are. Because
he really likes the Waterloo seltzers.
Waterloo. That's
okay. Really? Okay. I'll get him some for TCPF then.
Yes. Just he like the cranberry ones, I think, was the ones that he was looking for last time we were together.
Yeah. We're going to have so much fun in Austin this year, truly. We're going to have another IV party. No Botox, apparently. Nobody did Botox with me.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
Did.
You did?
So did
I thought you said you didn't want to do it. I can't remember.
I didn't do under my eyes. Like
the filler, that's different.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't
do everyone did Botox except Josh because he had just had his.
Oh, I didn't think anybody did Botox. I thought I was the only one. I was like, okay, well, whatever.
No, yeah, Eric did. No, the IV party was like on point. We said we're doing IVs before we go to London just to make sure that we're ready to go.
Hydrated. Get a Myers cocktail and you'll be set for the rest of the week. You'll be fine. Yeah. And skinny shots, those B12 shots. Woo! They give you that energy. Nice. So yeah. Nice. We're gonna do it because Tara wants to have a little IV party. And I was like, well, you know, in Austin, they have like those trucks now that they like have out on 6th Street for people who are recovering from the day. And I was like, oh, we can just get one of them to come to the hotel and you can just come and hang out in the room. If you're invited. If you're not invited,
by invite only.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
I'm so excited.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Also, TCPF, get your tickets now because they go up in price the 15th.
Yes.
15th.
But then everybody gets a 15% off code starting on the 16th, including our family advocates and our vendors.
Hi, friend. Can we change our code?
Yeah. Did you read the email, ma'am? It said to email me by 2/12.
I only read what our code was, and I'll forget. So I will.
Bucky's brisket is not that great. We'll have better ones.
Well, Bob would fight you for that. So
he can, but I'm native, so native Texan. I know good brisket, buddy.
We have a lot of options down here, that's for sure.
I would say the Austin barbecue is way better than pretty much anywhere else. So tickets go up to $16. Everybody else will have a 15% off code starting to $16. And then we will probably have a ticket turn-off date in mid-June so that we can account for everybody.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Lanie.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.